Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
As parents, do you remember some of the things that we said to our kids that were not exactly the smartest, most bright statements in the world? But think about it. Our parents said them to us. Statements like, and I can remember my dad saying this, "Keep crying, and I'll give you something to cry about." And my mother said this, "Shut your mouth and eat your supper." Okay, Mom. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. Followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, call in. It's a beautiful day. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today. Along with some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call, get on the route service, get rid of your garbage. 734-6969. And without further anything else, let's go to our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I'll tell you what, sir, I appreciate it, and you be sure and call us again on that pledge. Thank you, and you have a good day. Thank you very much. Right now we're going to go to the weather. Oh, my goodness sakes, the weather forecast brought to you by Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with their home comfort systems. And they're offering up to $1,700 rebates on qualifying new Lennox systems. You better check it out today. Call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Here's the weather.
I think Ma Nature is in a good mood because it looks like for today and for the rest of the week into the weekend, we're going to be warming up. And we could finally break out the shorts if we so choose. Looks like sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the southwest right around 5 miles an hour. High of 71 is what we're looking at tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of 80 with an overnight low of 50. Sunny and 85 for Friday as we kick off the weekend with overnight low of 54. That would be a great time to break out the barbecue. Saturday, mostly cloudy skies. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit, high of 80 with an overnight low of 48. Then for Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 77. That is your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, don't you dare kid me now. You better be straight up on that weather forecast because you got me really excited about this great forecast. Weather brought to you by Lennox and Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they can help save you money. You get a hold of them today. We have 2 special people that have managed to live in the same house together for a long time, and they haven't killed each other, and they're really, really good friends. I love these people, and they've done so much to assist us, and we've enjoyed working with them on various projects. George and Donna Mass are celebrating their anniversary today, and right now they're sitting at the kitchen table, and they're holding hands, and they're gazing into one another's eyes, and George says to Donna, would you please make me some ham and eggs? Oh, what a wonderful couple. Good morning and happy anniversary to them. I hope many, many more. Let's not forget we were talking a minute ago about Ramsey Heating and Electric. Don't you forget they have all your heating and electrical and cooling needs over there at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, number to remember, 678-0459. They throw open the doors at 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday. And as I said, they've got all your heating, cooling, electrical needs, and believe me, knowledgeable people, friendly people serving you, where they provide the warmest of winters and the coolest of summers at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Let's not also forget, oh my goodness, you got to stop in and try one of their delicious brand spanking new burgers on their burger list. They've got some burgers over there at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Absolutely guaranteed. Knock your boots off delicious. Woo! Let me tell you, at America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley. Breakfast menu, lunch menu, dinner menu, burgers. I'm telling you, you stop in. Super nice people at Denny's Restaurant. The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. You stop in and see them today. Okay, here we go. I don't think that we have right now, underline the word now, in Magic Valley, a big problem yet, but I think we will. I think that the Snowflake millennials, they are now at CSI. They are now at Boise State, Idaho State University, University of Idaho, and other two-year schools. And their attitude of non-function, that's what I'm going to term it. That's my Zebel attitude label right there. Non-function is growing. They have no purpose. They have no responsibility. They have no goals. And they have zero common sense. Let me just elaborate a little bit. I got an email here about a week and a half ago when I was criticizing the millennials, and I don't know who it was from. I have no clue, and nor do I really want to know. But they really criticized me for chewing out the millennial generation, and evidently they didn't listen very well to the program. But as you know, I had some really sharp millennials in that age bracket on my program, and I really praised them for the way that they have left their circle of what I would call idiocy that's permeating in the millennial generation, and they've become very goal-oriented and very, very hard-working individuals with a look to the future. I respect that. So I did not say all millennials, but the numbers are growing. At Harvard University, you know what the school did at Harvard University? You know, we're supposed to be sending these kids to school, higher education, to learn how to be qualified, good adults. Get a job. Be contributory to our society and your career and the future. Raise a family. What happened to these kids? At Harvard University, these little snowflake wah-wahs, the school canceled all the late fees on library books because the juvenile kindergartners, the millennials, couldn't take the stress of remembering when to take their books back to the library. What? I mean, come on. You can criticize me all you want. I don't give a rip. Really, I don't. I'm going to keep shooting opinions the way I think they should be said, and I'm not going to quit. But this is complete lunacy that we are making a complete generation of cowards, a complete generation of wah-wahs, and actually, instead of going to college, why don't we just send them back to kindergarten? I'll even buy the doggone milk and crackers. What good are these kids? In Berkeley, these punks, these wah-wahs, They now have set up tents on the Berkeley campus. I kid you not. Stress tents. Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do to handle this. Trump is still president 103 days. I don't know what I'm going to do, so I better go to the stress tent. And in the stress tent, they provide yoga, and they have taped laughter going on, and rubber balloons to play with. And people that are contracted to sit there in these tents and massage your neck and your head to alleviate the stress that you worry about being a millennial. Call me. Folks, I'm not making this stuff up. It's growing across our country. What kind of a society, what kind of a generation is going to take over the reins of this country, for that matter, the world? If they get a paper cut, I mean, they're going to go to the ER and they're going to go, oh, read me the last rites. They are worthless. Not all of them, but a growing number. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, yesterday you kind of let me down a little bit. Boy, I was sweating bullets there for a while. I thought, wow, what happened? What happened to my callers? And then all of a sudden there was a surge of them. So come on, give me a call. Don't you quit on me. Barry Equipment and Rental, they have all the equipment to get the job done right. And they've got equipment rentals. They've got equipment sales, and they've got those Walker mowers. I mean, man, I love mowing the lawn. I really do. And they've got those Walker mowers where you can mow like the pros do, and 0% interest for 48 months. You better get in there today and check it out. See Juan and the whole crew at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, and they've got locations on South Lincoln and Jerome and Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls. Yep, they have all the equipment to get the job done right. Barry Equipment and Rental. Come on, callers. It's easy. Just reach over, pick up that phone, and give me a call, 436-2244. Also, while I'm waiting, I want to say to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Now, this is not just a commercial. It never is with any of my people. I believe in what they do. I believe in them. And I can say that honestly about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, Nick Greenwell, and the entire staff of physical therapists. Oh, they are good. They are really good at helping you get back to being you. And don't forget, they've also got that hydrotherapy pool. Oh, my goodness. They can help you get back to being you. All you have to do is call 678-1191. Make an appointment today. They're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. Good morning to you.
Morning to you, too.
How are you?
Pretty good.
All right.
You know, if the election would have been in October, Hillary would have won?
I'm not so sure.
Well, that's what she's saying.
No.
And she's going to be on TV, and she's going to blame Comey and the Russians and everybody else because she lost.
Let me tell you something, and this might offend some of the Democrats out there, and I hope it does. This woman is absolutely a liar. This woman is absolutely a fraud. This woman is full of hate, and she's very spiteful. She is selfishly greedy, and above all, she is phony and very possibly nuts. How do you like that?
Well, why don't you just tell us how you really feel?
I don't like her. I never liked her. I didn't like her husband, and I shudder, honestly, as an old man thinking that their daughter, Chelsea, who is now 37 years of age, might consider running for politics and, God forbid, the presidency. Oh, my goodness, I'm moving into your house. You pay the bills, I'm going to stay in the basement.
Well, come on down.
Okay.
You know, this deal with Hillary, it's just going to keep festering and festering.
Wheels, hold on a second, Keith. Wheels, turn him up a little bit, please. You got to ride the gain a little bit, buddy. Go ahead, Keith. Repeat that, please.
Hillary is going to stay in the spotlight whenever they call on her, because if it looks like the Democrats are not getting anywhere, they will bring her up again and try to shove her out in front of us.
She made a statement yesterday at she was meeting with a very poor CNN reporter, and I won't even mention the woman's name because I don't want to give her any credence on my program. But Hillary was visiting with her, and one statement that she made I thought was so un-American. She said after she had supposedly graciously bid Trump congratulations and made a statement that's on tape, I saw the tape again last night, that she was going to try to help make America better and work with Donald Trump as a president. Then yesterday she came out and said she's joining the resistance and she's going to do all she can to be resistant to this president. That's not the America I want to live in, with people like Hillary Clinton.
Just a hateful person. There's just no other way to put it. She just hates anybody that doesn't coddle to her needs.
Well, she's not professional in any way, shape, or form. She blames everybody else for her shortcomings and her loss during the election. She lost because people don't like her. She lost because people didn't trust her. She lost because she didn't have any kind of a platform to stand on. And she lost because she's all of the above that I mentioned a moment ago, besides being a very low-life person.
Let's turn it around. Let's get the Fox reporters to go and spy on her and every little stupid move she makes. Let's scoriate her as much as we can.
Well, I would like to. I just hate to think that, and it just bothers me that she's looming out there in the reeds of the swamp, and she may try to make somewhat of a comeback at some position, or her daughter. I mean, these people do not belong in leadership of any political forum. I don't like them, and I don't think America should ever trust them again.
Well, amen to that, brother, because she is not a good person.
All right, I appreciate.
That's the only way you can say it. She is just not.
No,
good.
she is not. She is not, and that's the best way to sum it up. Thank you, Keith. God bless you, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. One thing I'm not going to do on this program is sit there and say, well, no, wait a minute, maybe I'd better not say that. I might offend somebody. No, I'm going to tell you that right now when I look at Hillary Clinton, I look at nothing more than an old lady that absolutely should sit in the rocking chair petting a kitty cat or holding the granddaughter, and keep your mouth shut because of your greed, because of your personality of a liar and being a fraud. Stay out of politics. I feel better. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I really want somebody to call me on the millennials this morning. You know what? Honestly, I feel that there needs to be a boot camp for these millennials. I'll give you an example of what I mean, and I want you to call and tell me if this is a good idea or not. Of the 25 protesters that were arrested in Portland over May Day's riots, which they were, for the burning and the glass breakage and the firebombing and the Molotov cocktails and everything else, 3 were underage, 2 17 and 1 14-year-old. First of all, I'd like to go after the parents for child abuse or lack of parental watching these children. But I think there should be a boot camp for these millennials. And if they are arrested for doing things like they have done at Berkeley and like they've done at colleges and universities across the country or at Portland, wherever, they get sent to boot camp to learn how to be a little tougher, to toughen up, cowboy up, and maybe pique their senses to the point where they realize they're worthless in what they're doing and how they're doing it or what they're not doing, and try to be somewhat of a contributor to society and the rest of their life. I wonder if any of these punks, these snot-nosed kids, ever sit down and maybe it's on the front porch or maybe it's in a city park and think, what am I going to be doing 20 years from now? Or what am I going to be doing 40 years from now? Do they ever have any thinking ahead as to what they're going to be doing, what they needed to have done, or how they're going to exist? Calls are welcome, 436-2244. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, Ag Express is looking for drivers. Full and part-time positions and retired folks are welcome to call. My goodness, yes, you can work 2 or 3 days a week. They'll work around your schedule. Absolutely in your home every night using new and maintained equipment, and they've got great vacation programs, benefit programs. Oh, my goodness. You give them a call. Dale and Paul at 438-8886. Alan and Twin Falls 731-2495, and Russ and Burley at 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, you talk about the children and you say, well, how is it that they become this way? And, whether or not it's the irresponsible parents who've never grown up themselves. I mean, let's face it. Some of these parents you see walking around, they're covered with tattoos, piercings, and you say, I don't know what possesses you to do this to yourself, but, obviously you're not too focused on the fact that you have a child or more than one. And you say, how the hell is it that you could ever raise a child right?
Yeah.
And you see, their perception of reality is different, totally different than yours and mine. And then you have these teachers, like I was talking the other day, a teacher tried to stand up and make the kids say the pledge, grade school kids. And the rest of the teachers peer pressured her. And she has to just, what do you do? Do you stand there and fight, or you just say, well, hell, I'm going to quit and leave? Well, none of us can quit and leave.
Yeah, Randy, stop right there, because I want to ask you this question. I know you, I think, fairly well, and I think the same can be said that you know me fairly well. Neither one of us would probably get a paycheck teaching at any school if I had students sitting down in their seats showing disrespect to the pledge or the national anthem or anything that really reflects on our American heritage. I guarantee you, Randy, I guarantee you they would be standing. They would be standing in my class, or they wouldn't be in my class. I would not put up with this anti-American feeling when this country is providing them so many options for a great future. It wouldn't happen in my class, so therefore I'd be fired.
Well, this is the reason why the Trump administration, Betsy DeVos, head of the Department of Education, which is a joke, but at least they could demand that there was order in the schools and respect.
Yep.
And these Hispanic illegals, whether or not they're refugees from the Arab countries or illegals from across the southern border, this kind of chaos, you can't have your own child in there expecting to learn something. Say, for instance, that you are a parent that, couldn't afford to have your child in a private school or a charter school or something, and you had no choice. And they were in this chaotic environment, and you were trying to make sure they were safe first, and hopefully they would get an education. And you know what we spend per child on education? It's frightening.
Well, the thing is, Randy, you're in our country. Our country. I'm not going to back off on this. This is our country, the United States of America, and the taxpayers and the citizens of this country. When you come here, you play by our rules or simply put your jacket on and leave.
Well, this is exactly the thing. There's countless examples, whether or not it's in California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, of the disrespect and the arrogance and the, absolute thoughtlessness of these Hispanic children that are here on our dime. They have, free food, free school. Maybe their parents are on welfare.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. I was going, yeah, Randy, go, man, because you're hitting the nails on the head.
Your attitude is, if you were my child, you would have a welt on your butt like you wouldn't believe.
Absolutely.
And you say, well, you can't do that. Well, I guess I'm going to.
Well, I guess...
My children are raised, but, they have children. And, and that's the reason why, I see that my children are raising their children right, because they realize how important it is. You're either contributing to society or you're tearing it down.
Amen, amen. And I for one, I don't care, Randy, if people are offended. Oh, the snowflakes, why they're offended. I don't care if people that are deadbeats in our society that aren't working and can contribute, they won't because they're leeches. I don't care if they're offended. I don't care if I hurt their feelings. I hope I hurt their feelings so bad they might get off the couch and get their dead butt to work.
Well, this is the thing. It's got to end. And just like in the article, the New West, I don't know what they mean by the New West from the paper.
Yeah, that bothered me a lot.
What I know, I realize that I go out every day, and me and my family live in the real West, and this delusional bunch over here at that rag called the Times News, which isn't worth throwing underneath my dog, they can hit the bricks.
Don't be so unkind to your dog. Give it a better thing to lay on, please. Okay, Randy, got to run. See you later.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks,
yep, bye. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with Dr. Christine Pickup. If you're noticing a lack in hearing, you'd better maybe call and make an appointment at 312-0957. Located right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And like I've said, they are the only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho. She really cares, and she really knows everything about hearing. Dr. Christine Pickup, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Hey, don't forget, every Monday we have, of course, cookies to give away from Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my, the greatest of bakery, the greatest of a restaurant. You better stop over, and they got those maple scones. Oh, Sophie, if you're listening, you could stick one in a box and mail it. Anyway, I tell you what, they are delicious, and Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert. Really good, folks. By the way, too, I'm ready for more phone calls. Oh, am I ready? And we welcome your calls, and we want to say thank you to Minnecasia Sales. Hello, Zach Attack. And Minnecasia Sales, of course, with Zach and the whole crew at 1321 East Main Street in Burley, right across from the airport. And they sponsor Dr. History every Tuesday at 10:06. Pardon me, Zeb, the clock was running fast. And they've got all your doors, interior and exterior doors, all your carpet and your luxury vinyl planking. It's beautiful. And they can help send over to the contractors to do the installation work. Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, sponsoring Dr. History. Good morning, you're on the air.
Oh, yeah, I think a good idea would be to bring the draft back and send these jerks overseas and let them see what it's like over there.
Amen.
When they get back, they're going to appreciate this place a whole lot better.
Amen. I'm on your side there, partner. I am not going to say anything derogatory about what you just mentioned. I think that we've got to, like they do over in Israel and other countries, you've got to learn a respect and a love for your country, and the only way that you can do that is serve your country and be a part of protecting your country. I agree with you, because these millennial wah-wah snowflakes, they're taking over, and that's got to stop.
And this is coming from one of the original draft dodgers in the 60s.
Well, you had the courage to at least say what you did, and I would imagine, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, that you're probably sorry for your attitude and actions at that time.
Well, I wasn't going to go to a war with rules, and I don't see how they're getting anybody, how Obama got anybody to join with those rules they had.
Well, I got to be really honest with you, and if I offend you, then I will have to let it be that way. I tried to go. I couldn't because I was 4F, and my buddies went in your stead. And they, of course, many which didn't come home. So I don't respect your decision, but I would certainly appreciate your thoughts of maybe you made a bad mistake.
But at any rate, that's what I think they should do.
All right, sir.
Draft is a good thing.
All right, I appreciate your call. Thank you again. Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye.
I don't respect anybody that shirked their duty or shirked an obligation. I can't. I don't. I won't. I lost too many friends. I lost too many buddies. And for someone to say, well, I dodged the draft, I stayed here, I didn't want to go, I didn't believe in it. When yet I've had to speak at the funerals for my buddies that came back in a box. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. As I stated earlier this morning, Lennox Home Comfort Systems and, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric offering up to $1,700 in rebates on qualified Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Call them today at 678-0459, and they can tell you all about it at Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Boot camp for millennials. Boy, how many of you would like to be some of the instructors? Oh, my goodness. We could come up with an agenda and a daily routine and daily classes, and we could really turn these wet-nosed kids around. I honestly believe they could be turned around. I honestly believe when they see that red, white, and blue going down the street, instead of throwing rocks at it, they'd stand there at attention. I honestly feel that we can rebuild, rekindle the spirit of what America should be, and not what these liberal, knot-headed millennials are trying to turn it into. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I like good comedians. I like to laugh. I didn't think this was funny. I think it is sick and perverted, and I'm going to do all I can to let CBS Network know that I think that they are low class in keeping Stephen Colbert. I am. After this program's over today, I'm going to formulate a letter, and I'm going to ask my lovely bride to type it up. I'm going to send it to the president of CBS News and Entertainment and let them know that I think Stephen Colbert on The Late Show is absolutely a pathetic, low-class human being by the way that he used language that was not, is not, and should never be acceptable on television, regardless of whether it's late night or not, against the President of the United States of America. Now, criticizing Obama, as I did over the years, never once did I resort to foul or very guttural language. Never once. I criticized him as the President of the United States. I did not like his ideology. I did not like his policies. What I heard from Stephen Colbert, I listened to the entire tape, was absolutely the most pathetic, low-class monologue that I've ever heard in my life. And the language that was used during this monologue, and I have a copy of the monologue in my hands right here now, I would not ever read it over the air to you for the fear of all the different words that I would have to bleep out. And I'm afraid too many of our youngsters today could go ahead and insert the words, and they'd know exactly what low-class speech this was. Bob Hope, Don Rickles, Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, they had a certain air and a certain class about them that they could needle through clean humor presidents, whether it was back with Eisenhower or Kennedy or Bush, didn't make any difference. They could do it with a class. And today, with the likes of Stephen Colbert, that needs to be fired, he needs to put an application into Kmart. This was the most repulsive thing that I've read and heard for a long, long time. And if you heard it and you thought it was funny, I pity you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Come on. The lines are open. Give me a jingle. Oh, my goodness sakes. Don't forget K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. My goodness, spring is here. You're outside doing this. You're doing that. You're building this. You're tearing this down. You need the tools. You need the equipment. Well, they've got it. They at K&R Rental will deliver and pick up power tools and heavy equipment at your site, and they've got all the garden tools, painting equipment, and anything you need over there, and they have since 1979. So please get a hold of them today. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Number to call, number to remember, 678-3122. K&R Rental. What are your thoughts about some of this garbage that's going on? I mean, the television right now, it's not funny. These sick sitcoms with the LGBT influence, won't turn them on. Turn them off. I think Deanne's sitting here in the office with me right now. I think she would agree with me that we have not watched primetime television on any of the three major networks for at least 2 years. Those being ABC, CBS, and NBC. Won't do it, won't turn them on. I don't want anything to do with those networks at all. Filthy, low-class programming. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. I haven't watched any late-night shows since Jay Leno went off. I mean, at least he was funny. And he was fairly conservative, and that's the reason NBC got rid of him or forced him out. And but you know, you're right. The crudeness out there. Look at the Democratic national chairman. He's the same kind of deal. Bad, vulgar language. What he's using, and whenever he goes out and speaks, you know, if a Republican that did the same thing, why you'd never hear the end of it. But
well, Adrian
is controlling everything.
Adrian, just a minute.
Unfortunately, like I have a relative that listens to NPR radio, hates Trump. Well, if you listen to that garbage day in and day out, all that socialist, communist claptrap, you become part of it. And this is what happens. And so they know that, you know, if they keep feeding this stuff, you tell a lie, tell this kind of nonsense often enough, then it becomes part of you. And that's what's happened to our school system. I mean, I asked somebody the other day, a millennial-aged person, things like, when did the Pilgrims land, or where did they land? And they had no clue. You know, they said, 1800 and something. Had no idea where Plymouth was at.
Wait, Adrian, listen to me, please. Listen, let me get a word in here with you for a second. Don't just ramble on, because I want to intercede with you a little bit. Number one, a question was said last night on Tucker Carlson, and it's really a good, fair question that all of us need to consider. If we're seeing this violence, and we're seeing the left led by the likes of Hillary Clinton and Chuck Schumer that are absolutely into a resistance movement, and they're saying and they're saying that they want more burnings, they want more insurrection, and they want more of the millennials to do nothing and act like nothing. Where are we going to be in 6 months in this country? Are we going to be at the next modern day civil war? Give me a short answer.
Absolutely, yes. this is what they want. They want civil war. I mean, disobedience. Yeah, the things they're proposing and already advocating and encouraging these people, civil disobedience, as long as these liberal judges won't prosecute them, or said, they just slap on the wrist and let them go, throwing out Molotov cocktails and so forth, like in Portland, on May Day. And of course, just something, the May Day goes back to 1776,
right,
in Bavaria, when the Illuminati was exposed and the plan to basically subjugate the world, and it still goes on.
I've got to jump in.
Communist holiday.
I agree. I got to jump in on you again, Adrian. Adrian, I got to jump in on you. You are very well versed, and you can tell by looking at your wristwatch at 45 to the hour. I've got to get a weather on, but I just want to say that I really appreciate your remarks in the morning. I do, because you know what's going on. You've preached that it's coming this way for years and years. I just wish more people would wake up. I've got to get to the weather, but thank you so much for your call.
Yeah, we need to get more people. People need to get those emails and get on the phone. This budget is absolutely ridiculous, and Trump is being duped into supporting even the UN, I understand.
I agree.
That's really disturbing.
All right.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm under time constraints, folks, so, let me get back and forth with you a little bit on the conversation, and then if I have to run, I'll have to run. But I do appreciate, God bless every one of you. Please give me a call. Calls will be open and available here right now after the weather, so please call me. Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland and Burley. And then also two more. Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin, and Jerome Urgent Care, 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. And they're providing the sports physicals for your school children. As summer special, they're only $10, and 100% of that money is going to be donated back to your school's athletic program. And they're going to be starting on May 4th, which is tomorrow. So be sure and stop into the Urgent Cares, minor emergency, major care. Here's Gina with the weather.
I think Ma Nature is in a good mood because it looks like for today and for the rest of the week into the weekend, we're going to be warming up. And we could finally break out the shorts if we so choose. Looks like sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the southwest right around 5 miles an hour. High of 71 is what we're looking at tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of 80 with an overnight low of 50. Sunny and 85 for Friday as we kick off the weekend with overnight low of 54. That would be a great time to break out the barbecue. Saturday, mostly cloudy skies. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit, high of 80 with an overnight low of 48. Then for Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 77. That is your weather forecast for Zebedee.
Oh, I love that weather forecast. Thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care in Burley and Twin Falls Urgent Care, Twin Falls, Jerome Urgent Care in Jerome. Minor emergencies, major care. The doctor will see you now. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Holy cow, did you hear the story? And there's been other stories like this. But first of all, I'm scared of the ocean. I make no bones about it. I don't like to fly over the ocean. I don't like to swim in the ocean. I don't like to be a boat on the ocean. And this guy over in Scotland, this is crazy. Fortunately, he had a wetsuit on. But evidently, he thought that he would get on his surfboard and he would just paddle his way out, further into the ocean, and then surf back to the shore. This is off the coast of Scotland. It didn't work out so well. And for 32 hours, this guy ended up hanging on to his surfboard until finally a ship passed by and noticed that didn't look quite right way out there in the ocean. And they picked him up, and he's going to be okay. But I don't know about y'all, But if you're out in thousands of feet of depth in the ocean, with all the things that are in the ocean, clinging to a little bitty surfboard with nothing around you as far as the eye can see to the horizon, that would cause me a little fear. What about you? Holy cow. But to just paddle out, and think, well, I'm going to catch the wave, and then in about 15 minutes I'll be up on the beach. Didn't work that way. He went the wrong way. Anyway, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You will probably hear me again tomorrow talk a little bit about the Kentucky Derby. It's this weekend. Now, I love the Kentucky Derby. I love horse racing. I really do. And this year, there is a horse in the race by the name of Patch. P-A-T-C-H. And I looked at the odds of the horses that are entered, and Patch is not faring so well. Not the worst horse in there. I think Fast and Accurate is the worst horse with odds of 66-1, but Patch has odds of 40-1. Why am I picking Patch? Well, because the horse has overcome quite a few problems. The horse, Patch, only has one eye. Yeah. His left eye is gone. And all there is just a great big hollowed out part of his skull. And to his credit, and to his training, and to the ability of the trainers, with the left eye, which is up against the rail, and he can't see anything inside the rail, they must have really done a tremendous job training this colt. So, at 40-1 odds, yours truly is going to pick the winner of the Kentucky Derby. My heartfelt prayers go out to Patch at 40-1 that the horse with only one eye hopefully will win the Kentucky Derby for this year. I didn't count, Deanne, how many horses are in there this year? About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's close to 20 or 23 head of horses, I think. I haven't counted them all. But Patch, come on. 40-1, do your best. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Excuse the cough, and right now I'd also like to remind you that if you want to make sure you're going to get where you're going this summer, you better make sure that you have the best of tires on your vehicles for your pickup and your SUV, your cars, and your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers always doing the right thing matters to them. They have the best of tires, all the tread designs, all the sizes. I mean, my goodness sakes, they've got everything waiting for you. Like for your pickups and SUVs, the backcountry all-terrain tire. Woo! All-season tread, advanced noise reduction. You better stop in and see them today. And also the very, very best in brake service. They have highly trained technicians along front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Oh, my goodness. They care. They really care. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We are going to take a little break in a minute or so, and there's a couple of things I quickly want to remind you. Next hour, we've got Dave Beagle from Indianapolis, Indiana coming on. And then at 9:30, we're going to talk to Rachel Alexander from Arizona, and she's written a story in the stream about the first 100 days of Donald Trump. And then at 10:06 this morning, we're going to have David Williams with the Taxpayers Protection Alliance. And then at 10:32, we've got a Cajun man coming on the program, Jeff Cruer. And those are our guests for the remainder of the morning. Don't forget to wish Russell Smith a happy birthday. Send him a card. Call him up there at the Idaho State Veterans Home, 1957 Alvin Ricken Drive, room 70 in Pocatello, and the zip code 83201. Russell Smith, our hero, is going to be celebrating his 92nd birthday on this Saturday. Right now, let's turn it back over to Wheels at our main studios and listen to the news. I'll be back in about 7 minutes right here on Zeb at the Ranch. You have a good day. Oh, my goodness. The tracking collars did them in. Good for them. Anyhow, I'm glad they caught those guys. Hey, it's time for more of Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 2. And, of course, we're sponsored by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Thank you very much, Les Schwab. And also some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
Oh, Western Way Services says and wants to remind you that with the better weather coming on, you're going to be having weddings outside, reunions, family reunions, special birthday parties, outdoor concerts. You got to have a potty for your party. Oh, my goodness. Don't forget the potties for your party. They've got all the porta potties for your party. Call You know, I know you think I'm going to keep going with that. I'm not. Parties for your party, no potties for your party. There you go, 734-6969. Always at your disposal, Western Way Services. You call them today and get a potty for your party. Don't forget, too, on Mondays, we have a very special program. And it's called Gardening for Idiots. Me. It's named after me because I'm not a very good gardener, as you know that. Vicky's Country Garden at 185 South, 600 West of Paul is the sponsor. And the lovely Miss Vicky has everything over there. Mother's Day right around the corner. Go to Vicky's and buy her a new rose bush. Beautiful rose bushes at Vicky's Country Garden for Mother's Day. You stop in and see them Mondays on 9:15 right here on my program. We'll have that gardening show with the lovely Miss Vicky. Also, want to remind you, too, excuse me for the cough, it's not going to go away anytime soon, folks, especially with the spring and hay fever. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. And they make every single effort to make Autumn Haven the best place. And they invite the public to visit their facility anytime for tours and check them out. And they've got beautiful patio in the backyard to hold barbecues, and all the residents there, they just really enjoy themselves. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Number to call, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Real quick, too, I want to remind you, this is a very dangerous time of the year. There is a virus that really goes after dogs and puppies, and it's called the parvovirus. And I highly recommend you get a hold of our friends at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn, and remember to get your dogs vaccinated for the potentially fatal virus, parvovirus. Call them today at 678-1177. That number again, 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital, warm hearts for cold noses. Wonder if this guy's got a cold nose. I doubt it. He's back in the Midwest in Indiana. Good morning, Dave Bego. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Zeb, except I'm down in Florida where it's nice and warm.
Well, that's just what I said. Here's Dave Bego down in Florida. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
What part of Florida are you in right now?
Down in the southwest corner.
Okay. And go ahead and tell us, what is your temperature?
It's about 82 degrees right now.
Oh, my goodness. And I would imagine that you're standing there with the phone in one hand and a 9-iron in the other. Is that correct?
No, not today. Not today.
Well, listen, I
have business going on today.
Well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what happened day before yesterday. I'm scared, Dave, that our country is so fractured right now because of the liberal left, because of the so-called leadership of the Democrats, and because of the extreme naive and stupid attitude of the Snowflake wah-wah millennials. My goodness, with the protesting on May Day and the burnings and the Molotov cocktails, and last night on Tucker Carlson's show, I think the obvious question was asked, if it's this bad now, after 103 days of Donald Trump, what's it going to be like in 6 months? What are your thoughts?
Well, Zeb, I have to start this off with a article that I came across last week before May Day, and basically it said that May Day, which is International Workers' Day, may have had some justification 131 years ago, but it's become an excuse for unions to spread left-wing propaganda. And as reported by the Communist Party, USA, that May 1st is a day for working people to demonstrate their unity and celebrate those who labor and produce all wealth. But it's also a day to protect bad conditions for working people and fight for a better and more just world. So that tells you right there that they are trying to divide the country. And, as this article goes on, it projected teachers' unions in the state of Washington, Oregon, California, and other unions across the country were going to be staging these protests and trying to upset the apple cart. And we're going to continue to see this because, as I've mentioned before, and it's very simple math, the unions are in deep trouble. They're down to 11% of the workforce, under 6% of the private workforce, and their union dues are going way down, and they want to get control of this country and bring unions back and, make us into a communist country. And I don't know if you saw in Portland, but those people were wild. They were probably the worst anywhere.
Yeah.
In Portland, Oregon, they were throwing rocks and bottles and full cans of pop and beer and, Molotov cocktail, everything. And we're going to continue to see this get worse.
Okay, but stop right there, and let's discuss that. 3 of the 25, and there should have been a lot more, arrested. 3 of the 25 were 17, and 14. Monday was a school day. There were no vacations. And these 3 punks were out on the street throwing fireworks and Molotov cocktails and being a part of the degenerates that were out on the streets. In that case, I think the law should go after the parents. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think so. But, probably what happens, Zeb, is, as I said, the teacher unions were behind a lot of these on the West Coast and other areas. And I know the SEIU is behind them, too, and other big unions. Teachers union, they're going to let these kids off, and it wouldn't surprise me at all. Behind the scenes, they were actually prompting these kids to go out and do things, and the unions were providing, cash for them to go out and do this. Your basic rent-a-mobs, and this was all planned and put together a long time ago and staged. And every time they see an opportunity, they're going to do these type of things, and we're going to see it over Memorial Day and Labor Day and 4th of July, and and they're going to pick other days too. And what I've been trying to tell people is that the Republican Party needs to stand up and have some backbone and get out in front of these people in their own neighborhoods and churches and towns and stuff like that, and talk to these kids and these people about what's truly going on and how much of misinformation and lies the left is telling them. Because, Zeb, that's how I beat the SEIU. I got out in front of people and I talked to them. And once they began realizing that everything that was being told to them was wrong and lies, they started shifting, and that's what we need. And Trump needs to do it all across the country.
I agree. But now, Dave, you're a little bit less forceful, I think, than my personality. And I heard an interview with one of these crackpot millennials here about a week ago, and they were asking him what they would do. It was prior to the May Day revolution, if you will, and they were asking him what he would do to further enhance their viewpoint. And he says, I don't care. He said, if it means blocking bridges or stopping transportation or doing anything to stop the flow of people, we'll do it. And the interviewer asked him, I mean, even at the risk of having someone that needs to get medical attention, you would basically stop them? And the guy said, yeah, their lives are not that important to our movement. Right there, David, I said to myself, if my wife was in the vehicle and needed a real emergency attempt at getting to the hospital, I, in turn, would drive over and not think second thoughts. I am not going to lose a member of my family or my friends for the absolute destitute manner and attitude of these millennials.
Well, Zeb, yeah, and you can get through those things. They talk big, but the truth is and I had this too when I fought the SEIU. They set up these picket lines and that, just like picket lines when unions go out on strike. And when you actually got up to them, they kind of backed down, just got out of your way, and you go on through. They talk big. They like to throw out and spew out all this stuff, but the truth is behind the scenes, they really don't have the backbone, and they really don't have the interest. Again, they're being paid to say and do this stuff, and they really don't. They're really not deeply involved in this. So they're not like the union bosses themselves.
Well, Dave, though, what about the future of our country? What about the future with these snowflake wah-wah millennials? I mean, come on. What are they going to be doing 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now? How are they going to be contributory towards our society and our economy and the growth and the betterment of America? I mean, my goodness, it's kind of spooky. There's a whole generation of these crackpots.
Well, I agree, and some of those will change over time. They'll wake up. But, again, I think it's important. And, again, this is how I beat the SEIU, because I went out and sat down and talked in front of my employees. I talked to customers. I talked to vendors. I talked to other people. And I exposed what was really going on. And, we had young people working for us at the time, too. And it was amazing how you could kind of see the light bulb go on in their heads when you sat down and explained this stuff to you and said, something, these people are paying you to do this and giving you cash and they're behind you and all that. But the truth is they could care less about you. You throw out some facts about, all they want to do is organize you so that they can get your dues money and that, and they're using the dues money mostly for their political agenda in their pocketbook. Most union pension funds and health care funds are under manned and all that kind of stuff. And when you talk to these people like that and you tell them and enlighten them, they start to turn the other way. And again, this is why I think conservatives, Republicans need to get out and speak in front of these people, and again, on their own turf. Because I made a speech like this in New Mexico in front of a big group of business people, and I got done. One guy got up, and he was a congressman that got elected in a Democratic area down in New Mexico, and he says, Mr. Bego's exactly right. He says, the way that I beat the Democrats, who had control of that area for 15 years, is I went out and talked to people on their own turf, whether it was in their neighborhood or their church or whatever it was, and they began to realize that the other side was not telling them the truth, and I won big.
Yeah, but Dave, when you look at these millennials, and I'm sure many of them are really good kids. I know a lot of them that are of the millennial age bracket. I've interviewed them on the program. They are business owners. A lot of them have taken over the family business. They're farmers and ranchers. But there is an increasing number of these that absolutely have no responsibility whatsoever. They have no goals. They have no purpose. And when you have to think about somebody that's 19 to 22 years old in college or a university having to go into a stress tent and listen to taped laughter and yoga and rubber balloons, it doesn't bode well for the future of our society.
Well, no, and this is one of the ways the left, and they said they were going to do this years ago, was try and bring us down from within, and one of the ways was through education. And, you know, we have a lot of teachers and professors out there that they're far left, and they're pouring this stuff on the kids and you know, brainwashing them with all this stuff, and it's not good. We got to get into our school systems too, and the sooner we can do it, the better.
What did you think? And I think she's just doing nothing but adding fuel to the fire. She has become, in her own words, joining the resistance against Donald Trump. When I saw that interview with Hillary Clinton yesterday, it just absolutely reminded me that this is nothing more than a liar, a fraud, a hateful, spiteful person, and she's selfishly greedy for her own gain, Hillary Clinton, and she just won't be quiet. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Zeb, I mean, she's a typical far-left person that doesn't know how to go out and exist and do well in a free market capitalistic society. The only way they know how to do well is by being in politics and controlling the country, and that's what they want. And I know I've said this over and over again, but it's really, really, again, simple math. You look at Hillary and Bill, they tried to start their own business back in their state years ago and failed miserably at it. The only place they've ever been successful is in politics, and that's because they can control what's going on. It's the same with President Obama. He's never been able to be successful in the free markets. And because we have people like this, they are going to continue to do this, and they don't like somebody like Trump, who is a businessman, free market person. And the truth is, we need a lot more business people in politics.
Absolutely. Dave, I don't know if you stay up late at night. I do not, because I have to get up at 3:45 in the morning, but I have the complete transcript, and I have seen the tape of Late Show, Stephen Colbert, and the absolutely filthy, low-class, gutter language that he used on Monday night's program in regards to our President Trump. And this is absolutely insane. If that's called comedy, then I have forgot how to laugh.
Yeah, and it's sad that people will tune into that and watch that stuff, but we're going to continue to have that because the media is on their side. In fact, behind the scenes, the media is being intimidated by the left to make sure they go out and attack Trump and all this. So we're going to see this from all angles, and you know, it's kind of like, if you remember in my book, I exposed why Glenn Beck's not at Fox anymore. It's because he went after the SEIU, the union I beat, and they in turn went after Fox's advertisers, and Fox started losing revenues, and the SEIU said get rid of Beck, and so they did, and SEIU left Fox's advertisers alone. This is going on across the country in the media and Hollywood and everything because they're trying to use them for their showcase.
What do you think, now that you mentioned that, though, and we've only got a couple of minutes left, but I'd like you to elaborate on that a little bit. That is one of my main concerns and worries today, is that people that can only get the ABCs, CBSs, and NBCs, they basically are being force-fed a very liberalized pablum, and they don't have the opportunity to sit down and analyze the news or perhaps hear other viewpoints of the news. How in the world are we going to get journalism back into journalism?
Well, I think, Zeb, is, and I've said this time before, we got to spread right to work across this country, and that will help bring down the unions even more. And I think President Trump has to sign an executive order erasing John Kennedy's executive order that allowed, public workers to be unionized across the country. I mean, Franklin Roosevelt didn't agree with that, and that way it'll drop the population of union membership so low that I think the unions will just implode, go out of business, and then you won't see the unions behind the scenes intimidating the media.
One can only hope. And speaking like you did a few moments ago about former President Obama, do you get the impression at times that this man is just kind of waiting outside the door, waiting outside to come in and be more disruptive, waiting for a call to a higher calling or another party or center of influence? What are your thoughts about Obama?
Obama, when he's not playing golf, he's being directed by the far left and listening to them, and he'll do their bidding whenever they want him to go in and do stuff, and that's what it's all about. And he is a political robot for them, and they're going to use him whenever they think the timing is right.
Dave, I wished I was down there on the links with you, possibly today or tomorrow when you have some time to play some golf. But one of the things, I know you go to Florida quite a bit. How in the world do you folks back in the Midwest, Indiana, and then going down to Florida stand the increase of humidity along with warmer temperatures? I could never stand that.
Well, it is something you get used to over your lifetime, but I'm down here visiting customers this week, and, I have to admit, it's 82 degrees here, but in Indianapolis today it's 43. So it was good to get back out of the cold and rain. We had Indianapolis almost 6 inches of rain over the weekend.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Dave Bego, author of The Devil at My Doorstep, The Devil at Our Doorstep, and a great entrepreneur and businessman. Thank you very much. Any final thoughts this morning? Are you a fan of the Kentucky Derby? Have you picked your winner?
No, I'm not a big fan of the Kentucky Derby. I don't watch horse racing. As you know, I'm a basketball, baseball fan for the most part.
Okay. Well, you really deflated my balloon. I'm a big fan of the horse racing. Okay. Well, listen, sit down this afternoon about 4 o'clock Florida time, look at the ocean and the waves crashing in on the beach, and enjoy a bottle of wine that I did not buy you. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks, Evan.
All right. Take care, Dave. Thank you very much. Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana, and this morning down in Florida. Appreciate him. Oh, I know somebody else I appreciate because they're so kind and they're so helpful and so community-oriented, and that's, of course, Hanson Mortuary with Joel Heward, his staff, and his family serving everyone at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Joel is just the kind of a man that, with that big smile on his face and his helpful attitude, everybody just seems to go and center around him because they know that he can help. And always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. So please remember the number, and then when there's the passing of a loved one, they can and will help you with all the arrangements. 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Thank you. And also a big thank you go out to our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. And they are offering up to a $1,700 rebate on qualifying new Lennox home comfort systems. So call them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox at 678-0459. In just a moment or two, we're going to have a lady on my program that's been here many times in the past. I enjoy having her on the show. Rachel Alexander is going to be here. But before we go to that phone call, I want to remind you about Let's Ride. Yes, we got our four-wheelers back from the service department, and we're ready to go. We're ready to ride. We're ready to have fun from our dear friends at Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness. If you don't have a four-wheeler or a side-by-side yet, I suggest you get over there and open the door to that showroom and go, holy moly! They've got them all over there for you. And great accessory department. And like I already said, they've got a great service department, too. So please take the time to go to 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. Let's ride where the fun is sold. Absolutely. And over in that area also, just up the road a little bit, we have a great group of professionals at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. They know all about life insurance. They know all about health insurance. They know all about retirement planning and employee benefits. And they are really dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you need to do is call them and make an appointment at 436-4424. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Well, let's say good morning to a lady that writes for The Stream, Rachel Alexander. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Long time no talk to. How's the weather down in Arizona?
Hot.
Okay. Well, it gets that way right after about April 1st or April 15th. I know someplace else it's a little hot right now, and that's Washington, D.C. We're seeing a lot of divisiveness. We're seeing a lot of arguing. We're seeing a lot of the liberal loser mindset. What do you think about the first 100-plus days of Donald Trump as President of the United States?
It has been incredible, and this is coming from someone who did not support him in the primary, and I, in fact, wrote some pretty awful columns, opposing him getting the nomination, and he has just done a 180, in my opinion. He has turned into this staunch activist conservative. He says he did more in his 100 days than any president since FDR, and I believe him. I actually had a hard time writing this article because he has done so much stuff, I couldn't hardly fit half of it in there. One of these conservative commentators came out with an article called 100 Things That Donald Trump Has Done in 100 Days, and they're not exaggerating. You can look it up. It's by Gary Bauer, and basically, I don't even know where to start, from the executive orders to these congressional review acts that he got done with Congress to just things like fake news and the economy getting better and Neil Gorsuch getting nominated and getting China to interfere with North Korea to it just goes on and on. The man has been phenomenal. If you liked Ronald Reagan, you will love Donald Trump.
But Rachel, stop right there and give me your analysis of the Democratic loony bins that have been out there preaching every day to the very accessible loony left liberal TV and radio stations that Donald Trump hasn't done a thing. He's a total fiasco. He needs to be impeached. He's not getting anything accomplished. How would you respond to these loony bins that are saying just the opposite?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Okay, what they're saying boils down to mainly two things. One, because a couple of his things are still in the process of getting done, such as repealing and replacing Obamacare and, the sanctuary cities, stopping the money from going to them, and building the border wall and the travel ban. Since this stuff is still in the process with Congress and going up through the courts, they're saying it's a failure. No, that's not a failure. That means he's just started the process. And the second criticism of him is that his approval ratings aren't great. But I got another article should be coming out today, analyzing his approval ratings and why they look like they're bad. The reality is they're really not that bad. They're cherry-picking the worst possible polls they can find, like the Gallup polls. They survey adult voters, not likely voters, so they're not even very valid polls. And plus, if you look at the grand scheme of things for previous presidents, it really doesn't mean a darn thing that his approval ratings aren't great right now. It just doesn't. When presidents have lower approval ratings in the beginning, they go on to have a higher chance of being reelected, and their poll numbers tend to go up their approval ratings go up later on.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Rachel, I'm really concerned about an issue that I know that I'm getting a little deviated away from our context this morning with your first 100 days, but I think it's worth mentioning. I'm seeing a lot of strife. I'm seeing a lot of animosity. I'm seeing a lot of maybe hurt. I'm seeing a lot of maybe pain and even vengeance going on with the left, with what happened on May Day, with the Molotov cocktails and the burnings and the lootings and everything. And I'm seeing people like Schumer and Hillary Clinton saying, well, we're joining the resistant left. I mean, I'm seeing a civil war that could be brewing in this country. Am I way, way off board on this?
No, I think you're right, especially since the Civil War is being paid for by, left-wing billionaire George Soros and people like that. It's all being funded. They're training these radical activists to commit acts of violence. And so I think it's just going to keep going. But I also think it's going to backfire. I think people are getting sick and tired of the overdone, exaggerated outrage. They're tired of the violence, people getting shot and injured, and all the vandalism that's being caused. We've got all these riots in Berkeley where the police won't even do anything anymore, where that's basically anarchy. And so I think we're starting to see a quiet backlash, and a lot of the backlash is beginning from some of these old school liberals, from Alan Dershowitz, the Harvard law professor who disagrees with all the violence, and there's a guy I've become acquainted with, a Professor Michael Rechtenwald from New York University. He ran this anonymous Twitter account just going off on all the snowflakes and the safe spaces and the trigger warnings, and they figured out it was him, and they tried to chase him out as a professor. But he said enough is enough, and he said, I'm no longer a leftist. He deserved it. He totally left the left, and he's standing up to stop this craziness. So I do think there's hope at the end of the tunnel, but I think there's going to be a lot more violence until people finally wake up.
Rachel, you do a lot of study and research on the various articles that you write for the stream, and I don't recall a recent article. Caller, hold on just a minute. I want to get a response to this. Stay on the line. I don't recall a recent article, but I wish you would write one about these millennials that absolutely, I call them the snowflake millennials. They have no purpose, no responsibility, no goals, and no common sense. Are you afraid, like I am, of that generation taking over our country?
I am half and half. Half of me thinks there's a chance that, they're going to wake up to Donald Trump just like, my generation, or actually probably a little before me, but woke up to Ronald Reagan. The youth didn't like Ronald Reagan at first when he came in, but once they saw the economy getting better and they saw all the things he did, I think, these millennials are going to be so happy to get out of their parents' basements, thanks to Trump improving the economy, that I think some of them might come around. Secondly, I think that, some of these millennials, the cream will rise to the top. Like, as I grew older throughout my career, I've been kind of surprised at how successful I have been, but that's just because, a lot of my peers, Generation X, they're all stoned out, drugged out, alcoholics, you name it. So, I've had less and less competition the older I get. So I think a lot of these burnouts, millennials, they're not going to go anywhere. But the bad part is a lot of them are going to get into, bureaucratic government positions, though.
Yeah.
We already have this bloated, oversized government, and so I do fear, a bunch of these lazy types of millennials getting into those types of jobs and just ballooning government up, and they'll be so powerful. I mean, what can you do to stop that vast bureaucracy?
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with a question. Go ahead, please.
Well, I think that the desperation of the left is so obvious that it's laughable, and they, I don't know if they realize just how foolish they look, but the truth of the matter is that Donald Trump, his broad scope of what he has done, whether or not it was to have a direct line to all the black universities across this nation, colleges and junior colleges, that's never even been talked about, and how he's reaching out to the inner cities and reaching out to, whether or not it's African Americans, Hispanics, or even Native Americans, and these things that people don't even hear about. Well, the people that will be affected positively by this will know, And right now, the people that voted for him are happy, and more and more people are turning his way like you have just said you did. I'll hang up.
Please respond to the caller if you would, please, Rachel. Go ahead.
Yeah, he brings up a really good point. All this outreach Trump is trying to do to, the minority communities and how the media doesn't report it, and that's just more fake news. That's one way the fake news media, censors out the news is they just don't report it. And so I just hope and pray that Trump keeps tweeting things like this out because people are reading his tweets. I go there. The first thing I do every morning is I read President Trump's tweets because he doesn't need the media as much as they need him, and he's able to go around them and speak directly to us American people.
Don't you think, Rachel, that this, I call it hogwash. I really do. Everybody using the analysis of 100 days to really say whether or not he's going to be a good, bad, or indifferent president. I think it's ridiculous because, now correct me if I'm wrong. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but you study this every day. Didn't it take Obama 17 months to propose Obamacare, and it certainly wasn't thrown at the American public in the first 100 days?
That's correct. In fact, Obama's accomplishment in the first 100 days was the $1 trillion bailouts. So, you look at Trump compared to some of these other presidents, look at Kennedy, Bay of Pigs. That was his accomplishment. Reagan didn't do much in his first 100 days because he was shot. So, the 100 days is completely, utterly arbitrary, and even the left-leaning media outlets that I've been studying on this issue admit that in the past, whatever a president has done in his first 100 days doesn't really matter, and it doesn't seem to have any effect on the rest of his presidency because it's just so arbitrary and random. And one thing I like to point out is it's just a snapshot. Like, if you look at Trump's approval ratings in mid-February, the most accurate pollster of last year was Rasmussen. They predicted 100%, how the election would go correctly. And that's not even in dispute. 538, the left-leaning site 538 says that. So basically Rasmussen said in mid-February that Trump's approval rating was 55%, right? 55% approved of him. And that was President Clinton's approval rating at the end of 100 days, 55%. So all this BS about, he's so horrible at the end of 100 days, that's all it is. It's just BS. It's, like you said, it's hogwash. It's just made up to make Trump look bad.
If I were to make up a poster for the Democrats today, I would have to go find a picture of a crying, wailing, spoiled brat. And that would be the poster child for the Democratic Party. That being said, when are they going to wake up and realize, maybe to their demise, that they'd better start talking to the American public? They better start designing a platform that the American public might want to vote for, instead of sitting back and absolutely being nothing more than nails in their own coffin.
That's right. Trump came up with a contract with the American voter, which he issued right before he started office, and he's mostly fulfilled half that stuff he did. And Democrats are looking back now, and they actually admit the reason they lost, and I think this is only part of it, because I think, that Hillary's corruption is why they lost, but they admit, part of the reason they lost is because they had no plan. They were all anti-Trump, anti-Republican, anti-this, and they couldn't run on Obamacare because that was failing. So they had nothing for the American people. And you know what? Between you and me, I hope they don't come up with a plan because I don't want them back in power.
I agree with you there. One thing, and again, I'm jumping off the subject matter here this morning a little bit, but it does all kind of dovetail together. I have the transcript, and I have seen the tape of 2 nights ago with Stephen Colbert and his rant on The Late Show that used some of the most graphic, some of the most lewd, some of the most filthy language I've ever seen or heard on television, and they call that comedy. I call it nothing more than a liberal rail against decency. This man should be replaced on CBS. What are your thoughts?
I got to say, I agree with you. I did not get around to reading the transcript until this morning, and I have never been so blown away by how absolutely disgusting and outrageous that was. And I'm I don't think I'm a prude or whatever, I mean, I'm just a, regular conservative, but the end of his rant was so filthy and so disgusting that I can't believe they even allowed it on TV, especially regular network TV. I mean, what are we coming to? I mean, it wasn't funny. It was so shocking that you wanted to go take a shower.
Well, the days of the old comedian, and I say this with the utmost respect, Bob Hope, Don Rickles, Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, they had a class of needling presidents, but always staying above board. Really, like you said, are we in the cesspool forever?
I think, everything goes in cycles usually, and you think there's going to be a backlash. I mean, I was getting worried. I mean, as a Christian, I believe everything's just going to gradually get worse and worse, but I was pretty worried if Hillary Clinton had gotten elected, we were just on a downward spiral, and we were never going to be able to turn it around. So having, Trump win the election has just been phenomenal because that, revived my hope that we're still not on that completely downward spiral. There still are going to be some backlashes here and there. So I have hopes that, there might be one more backlash, and maybe this millennial generation is going to be the one that'll turn it around and say, we're sick of all the filth, we're sick of all the crudeness, and, and maybe the feminists can join forces with the conservatives and say, enough of this crudeness and, a lot of it's demeaning to women. I mean, isn't there some common ground where we can agree with them there?
Of all the things that you wrote about in this latest piece in the stream about Trump's accomplishments and possible future accomplishments, what is the number one or two thing that really you're the most concerned about and you really want to see pushed through?
Oh, boy. Illegal immigration is pretty important. The travel ban is really important, and Obamacare is really important. So I would say it'd be one of those three. That one's a tough one. I honestly don't know because I think all three of those are so crucial to the security and the prosperity of this nation.
Yeah, but then on the other hand, I think you'll agree with me on this. I'm looking at a fraction of the Republican Party, those old standby so-and-sos that want everything done their way versus the other Republicans, a split in the party that's causing a lot of hurt and pain for what Trump's trying to get accomplished. And personally, I'd like to attend one of their meetings of the old Republican Guard and simply say, sit down and shut up. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I am so sick of them. I am so disappointed in them. I don't understand why we get people like, Paul Ryan, he's my age, into office, and he's supposed to not be part of that old guard, right? He's not supposed to be like a John McCain, and, he turns out to be, almost as compromising. We have control of the House and the Senate and the presidency. I mean, for crying out loud, what is wrong with some of these people? I don't understand. Paul Ryan, you're my generation. You're supposed to be different than those ones. And, you run for office not to stay in office forever. You run for office to make a difference. I think I agree with Trump on term limits for that very reason. Now, granted, you're going to end up having a lot of these bureaucratic, permanent government staffers having too much power then because they're going to, control a lot more. But maybe we can, start a process to move them along as well so they don't, get to stay in their exact positions year after year after year.
You mentioned earlier, Rachel, about immigration, and lately on the news, they have been featuring, unfortunately, on many of the standard stations, ABCs, the CBSs and NBC, all the bleeding heart liberals saying, all of these immigrants, they don't call them the true name, they are illegal aliens that are coming here illegally. They say all immigrants deserve to come to this country and be a part of the American dream. Wait a minute. They came here illegally, many of which are on your dime and my dime on welfare programs, etc. Where in the world is it that they get more rights than certified bona fide taxpayers?
Well, and that's the thing. You and I work very hard. We earn our living. And, we wouldn't dream of taking money from other taxpayers to live off of. Yet these people who have no citizenship and no loyalty to the United States, they come here and it's like they put their hands in our pockets and they just start taking money out. It's absolutely outrageous. We fight the changing in the words ourselves. The Associated Press says you can't use the word illegal immigrants. You can use the word illegal immigration, but you can't use the words illegal immigrants because that makes it look like these people are themselves illegal. Well, yeah, they are illegal.
That's right.
So it's ridiculous, and I'm not going to let them dumb down the language like that and bias it. And we just have to keep speaking out. And thank goodness for President Trump, because he's been speaking out against illegal immigration for years now. I remember him coming to Arizona and working with Sheriff Arpaio. He made it. He championed it as an issue early on, unlike a lot of these chicken Republicans.
Absolutely. Rachel, absolutely enjoyed having you on the program. Rachel Alexander writes for The Stream. Very, very knowledgeable person. Thank you so much for being on the show. Come back soon.
I appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you very much. I like her. She's got a new piece written in The Stream called Trump Has Accomplished a Lot in His First 100 Days. We've got to get a weather forecast on here right now. And the weather is brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cache area for well over 50 years. Absolutely the most professional with tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning. The list goes on. And they really can help regardless of the industry you're in, agricultural, manufacturing, whatever. They can and will help you. Please call them today. They've got 2 offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
I think Ma Nature is in a good mood because it looks like for today and for the rest of the week into the weekend, we're going to be warming up. And we could finally break out the shorts if we so choose. Looks like sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the southwest right around 5 miles an hour. High of 71 is what we're looking at tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of 80 with an overnight low of 50. Sunny and 85 for Friday as we kick off the weekend with overnight low of 54. That would be a great time to break out the barbecue. Saturday, mostly cloudy skies. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit, high of 80 with an overnight low of 48. Then for Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 77. That is your weather forecast for 7th Ray.
Wow. That's the way I'm going to frame that weather forecast. Wow. I love it. I can't wait. Anyway, the weather brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, CPAs, and their offices at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. The best serving and working for you, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Oh, my goodness. You know what? Mother's Day is right around the corner, and it's on May 14th. And God bless my mom for the years that she was on this great earth. I mean, I have nothing but warm thoughts about all the times and the phone calls and everything with my mom. And I quite frankly envy those of you with your moms still on this great American soil. And I wish all of them a very happy Mother's Day, as do the great folks with the Goodie Shop at 133 West Main in Burley. Number to call, write this down, 647-0106. Treat your mom to a goodie basket that's really, really good. And you can buy one that's already made up, or you can have one made up the way you want it. Special Mother's Day mugs, and they can fill them with candy kisses and brownies and treats and everything. Oh, please, call them today at 647-0106, the Goodie Shop in Burley. And also the Drift Inn at 545 F Street in Rupert, wishing you and your moms a very happy Mother's Day. And they got a special for your mom, and you can take her out to dinner at the Drift Inn on May 14th, and boy, oh boy, you better make reservations. Call them at 436-1300, 436-1300. They're going to have prime rib and finger steaks and shrimp and chicken cordon bleu. Oh, your mom's going to love it at the Drift Inn in Rupert. And here's a guy that's a doggone good friend of mine, and he just wants to wish all the moms a very happy Mother's Day. Doug at Doug's Alternator and Starter Service, 635 21st Street in Hayburn. And he says, you can get your alternators and starter work done now. And he says, by golly, he can take care of you and fix you up. But he wants to wish all the moms a Mother's Day that they will never forget. God bless you. Doug's Alternator and Starter Service, wishing you a happy Mother's Day. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I was reading a story that I'm going to comment on in the first hour tomorrow, that there is a major push across many, many states in our United States. To name just a couple of them, Arkansas, Iowa, and West Virginia, and Nevada, North Dakota, Georgia, Virginia, and Maine. They're really pushing for more tougher new voter ID laws across the country. Good. And to all the liberals out there that don't think anybody should have to show identification when they go to vote, boo on you. I'm so glad that the laws are cracking down. I'm so glad they're saying, hey, listen, you've got plenty of time to go get an ID. You've got plenty of time to take care of verifying who you are if you want to vote, so go get it done. Amen. And to the liberal bleeding hearts that say, oh, it's too tough for these people that are immigrants to get an ID. Well, maybe they can't get one because they're illegal. Or, oh, it's too tough on certain minorities to go and take the time and get an ID. You've got a long time till the next election. Get in there and take care of it. No more crybaby attitude from the liberal left. Make sure that when you go to the polls, you can prove who you are in this great United States of America. Whew, I feel better. Next hour, we've got David Williams with the Taxpayers Protection Alliance. And then at 10:30 this morning, we've got a gentleman by the name of Jeff Cruer that's going to be talking about Donald Trump and the funding for the budget, and how Trump said maybe the country needs to shut down. It might make it a lot better. We're going to talk to him later on this next hour. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Wheels at our main studio, and he's going to take us to CBS News, and I'll be back in about 7 minutes. Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday, a beautiful day. You enjoy. I'll see you in 7. Okay, I can make it another hour, and then I got to get outside and enjoy this beautiful weather. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. Don't forget our friends at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert, and they really, really invite you, the public, to visit their facility anytime for tours and check them out. And they make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place for your family members that might need just a little bit of extra help. Assisted living at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call them and find out more is 436-3200. That number again, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center. Also, good morning to everybody over at Kelly's Bearing Supply. I mean, there's Zach. I see Brett over there and Alex. My goodness sakes, they're busy, busy, busy. And they've got all the bearings, chains, and brackets. You don't have to be downtime while you're waiting for your machine to get fixed. They can help you, and you'll know where you're at when you get your bearings at Kelly's. Kelly's Bearing Supply, 1407 East Main in Burley, 678-9398. Right now, let's go to the phone line. Our next guest is ready and waiting for us. And good morning to a gentleman from the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, David Williams. How are you?
Good morning. And just so you know, the weather is beautiful in Washington, D.C. also. It's 70 degrees, low humidity, and a light breeze. It's wonderful here, finally. I mean, the political climate is something different, but the weather is amazing.
You know, I got to be honest with you, David. The political climate, as you said, is probably one of high winds, turbulence, and very, very cloudy, because that's what it seems like every day back in D.C.
Yeah, that's right, and it doesn't have to be that way, because there are certain things that are happening. Well, first of all, we have Republicans that control the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the White House. So something as simple as, and I'm going to say simple, but something as simple as tax reform should be getting done right now.
Right.
Because people agree that it's too complicated, the tax system is too complicated, and we need tax reform. So you would think that we'd be getting something done here in D.C., but we're not.
Well, okay, but now you touched on it, David, and I don't know exactly the subject matter that you were going to talk on this morning, but let me ask you this. 100 days. Okay, 100 days plus for Donald Trump. Big deal. I'm not going to set a high water mark for anybody after 100 days of trying to get organized and get things rolling for this great country, the United States. But the Democrats are doing everything in their power, whether it's Schumer, whether it's Hillary yesterday saying something stupid like I'm going to join the line of resistance, or whether it's the Snowflake wah-wah millennials or whatever and all the protests. They are doing nothing but disrupting, and they're hurting all the people in the United States. Your response?
Without a doubt. They don't have any ideas. They don't have any ideas on what to do legislatively. They haven't produced or offered any legislation. They're just a party of no. And, 100 days is this tradition that is, a benchmark for new presidents. But I want to see what he does in the next 100 days, next 3 years, because it does take time. And I don't want to give this president a pass, but I also want to recognize that it takes time to get pieces of legislation through, but we just still need a lot more work. And, one of the issues that we're working on is the Federal Communications Commission,
right,
and what they're doing really to free the Internet and get government regulation and government control off of the Internet.
Well, let me tell you this, David, and I want you to be very aware of this. When it comes to anything regarding computers or the Internet, you are talking to a box of rocks. I am dumber than a post when it comes to that topic. However, I do know a little bit just to be dangerous. I do know that the FCC and certain elements of the left, they want control over this, and they absolutely want to have more control over the American public if they can control the Internet and net neutrality. Am I right or wrong?
No, that's absolutely right. And this term net neutrality has been thrown around by the left and some on the right, but really, we all want a free and open Internet. I mean, I think that is, common sense, that we all want that. The question is, how do we achieve that?
Right.
Is it with government bureaucracy, or is it with the private sector? And I will tell you that over the last 10 or 11 years, more than $1 trillion has been spent by the private sector in building out these networks. And the government will never have that much money to spend. And quite honestly, they shouldn't be given that much money to spend on Internet service and broadband service. So the question is, who do we want controlling the Internet? Do we want the government and government bureaucrats to control the Internet and the development and the growth of the Internet? And I think, obviously, my answer is no, we don't want government bureaucrats to do that.
Well, David, I, as a father and grandfather, I'm I'm open to any closing, any available door of filth and negativity on the Internet to our youngsters. But there again, I revert back to our First Amendment of free speech, and I do not want a Venezuela approach, if you will, to any controls over what we read, what we listen to, etc., and that's why I want the government completely out of it.
Without a doubt, because giving them the control means that they will be able to suppress free speech and do things that are not in the interest of our constitutional rights. I mean, I think it really boils down to that, is that, this is a matter of free speech that could end up costing us billions of dollars as taxpayers because, and you've seen this, with any bureaucracy, it grows, it expands, it never gets smaller. So once you say the government is doing something, it always gets bigger, and it means more money coming from taxpayers.
What do you think about if the government and the liberal left had control? I was reading a little bit of a note that was sent to me about Joseph Torres, a writer with the Free Press, that was suggesting that Donald Trump and FCC Chairman Pai were motivated by racist tendencies. Tell me a little bit about this and why the left is always nitpicking and trying to call everybody a racist.
Well, it's a dog whistle. I mean, that's their usual go-to when they don't have the facts on their side. And so let's present an example here. And I'm sure you use email. You probably don't stream a lot of movies. Maybe you do, but here's the thing: is we have medical applications for the internet. We have Amber Alerts that go out via the internet, and what we need to do is make sure that stuff is prioritized over an email, and that we can make sure that the government isn't determining who has the first sort of right to the airways or to the internet. Because what they want to do, what the government ultimately wants to do, is they want to make it a utility. They want to make it like it's like telephone service, and that sounds somewhat, okay, but what that means is more money, because once it's a utility, that opens the floodgates of taxpayer subsidies to build these government networks that we have seen fail miserably across the country.
How would you, for the laymanship of my ability on this issue, and also maybe for the education of my audience, how would you describe what it was like and what Obama wanted to do during his administration with the Internet versus what Trump wants to do right now? Kind of give us a T-bar graph. On one side, Obama, the other side, Trump right now. How would you compare them?
Okay, so right now, I'll start with Trump. What Trump wants to do is have the FCC as a referee, is to be on the sideline and to make sure that everyone is playing fairly without any sort of draconian or really invasive rules. What Obama wanted to be part of the game. He wanted to be a player in the game and determine the outcome of that game and be less of a referee and more of a player. And the FCC has never done that before. And what Obama was trying to do was create really layers of government and government bureaucracy surrounding the Internet, and being able to say, okay, Company X, I don't like what you're doing, so we're going to penalize you and we're going to fine you for stuff that we don't like of what you're doing. And that gets back to your free speech issue, is that once you put a political opinion into the Internet and into the bureaucracy, look what happened with the IRS.
Yeah.
Look what happened with the IRS approving and not approving conservative taxpayer groups.
Wouldn't it
we
be...
could see the same sort of manipulation by the FCC if they were given the power that Obama wanted to give them.
Wouldn't it be, and again, David, with your expertise, wouldn't it be another nail in the coffin of a free society to where it could even go further than the Internet at that juncture, and it could do the cancellation death knell to people like Sean Hannity, myself, and others?
That's my biggest fear, is that right now you have conservative talk radio that has really taken over this country. I've never really even heard of liberal talk radio. I don't even know that exists. And the reason why conservative talk radio exists is because people want it. And the left, they don't like that. They don't like the fact that most of this country is red, is conservative, and has conservative values. And one way of attacking that is going after the people such as yourself that talk about these values day in and day out. So that's really where the suppression of free speech comes in.
What's the status right now on this net neutrality, and what's the status you think within the Republican Party? I'm going to be honest with you, and I had a guest on last hour, and we were talking about this. I am very, very upset with the Republican Party. I am sick and tired of the divisiveness within their own party. I am sick and tired of the old guard wanting it one way and creating havoc for the rest. I'm sick and tired of not having unity. They've got the House, they've got the Senate, and they've got the Oval Office, and they're still acting like a bunch of spoiled kids in kindergarten. What are your thoughts?
Well, our mantra for this year after the election was no more excuses. The Republicans have no more excuses not to get these things done and get these things passed. And look at 2009. Right after Obama was sworn in, the Democrats passed a stimulus bill because they were organized and they were together. They were united. The Republicans need to do that. They need to be together and united because the Democrats were, and Republicans need to do that. Now, as far as net neutrality, this is a tough issue that people need to be educated on. On our website, we have papers, we have op-ed pieces that people can read and find out more about this issue. But Republicans need to keep the internet out of the hands of the government, and that's our big message here: is get the internet out of the hands of government bureaucrats.
Of the people that you've talked to, and I'm sure you've interviewed some, of the Republicans, the congressmen, the senators, do they really understand the seriousness of this nature? Or in a lot of cases with congressmen and senators, they haven't taken that time to study the issue and really make themselves educated on how to vote?
I really don't think they've taken the time to study the issue, and that bothers me, that concerns me, is because if anyone could be affected by this, it's going to be conservative members of Congress whose free speech could be stifled. It's your free speech, it's my free speech, but it's theirs. And they may be the biggest losers in this. That's why every member of Congress needs to hear from their constituents. They need to do research, and they need to understand just exactly what is at the heart of this and why this is an important battle that we're fighting right now.
You know, when you look at the overall situation, like with this problem with the internet and the government wanting more control over information to the American public, you know, you must be like me. I just feel like sometimes standing up against a wall and beating my head into that wall. I can't understand how these people that we elected to represent us can be so blatantly stupid when they get back on the Potomac and do things their way instead of what their constituents want.
What really confuses me is that in November we had an election where people really voiced their opinion strong against Washington, D.C. and the government. I mean, it was clear why people voted for Donald Trump is they don't trust Washington, D.C. We even had Democrats that supported Bernie Sanders who don't trust Washington, D.C. Now, don't get me started on Bernie Sanders, a guy that doesn't trust Washington, D.C. but wants to have more of your money. I mean, that doesn't make sense. So we won't talk about that. But what we will talk about is that a large portion of the population doesn't trust Washington, D.C., so why would these members take office and not do everything in their power possible to give power back to the states and back to individuals? That's what I don't understand, is we had this major election that should have sent a shockwave through Washington, D.C., and some members just don't get it.
Let me ask you, though, David, in your opinion, is it too late to pick up a rubber mallet and pound some common sense into these Republicans, or have we wasted too much time?
I've been doing this for 24 years, so it's never too late. I have not given up yet, and, you know, we've seen... Look at the bridge to nowhere. I know you're going to think this is a silly comparison, but in 2005, we saw that they tried to build this bridge in Alaska, the bridge to nowhere. But as a country, we were outraged, and we said no, and they were forced to not fund that project. So why can't we do that again with net neutrality, with tax reform, with health care reform? The people in this country need to, well, members of Congress need to listen to people in this country, because we're speaking very loudly, but sometimes the loudest we can speak is at the ballot box.
Absolutely. You know, I did do a little research on these net neutrality, FCC overhauls, etc., and I did some research, and I looked into Newsmax magazine, and the last paragraph of a story regarding net neutrality, it really kind of sums it up, and I'm going to read it in its entirety, and then I want you to respond to it. Obama's FCC push for net neutrality, which blocks cable operators and telecoms from unfairly limiting access to websites and online services, while internet providers claim bandwidth hogs like Netflix were unfairly taking transmission space. Others worry that without the net neutrality rule, major operators will be able to squelch websites they don't like. So in other words, as a very, very right-wing conservative talk show that relies a lot on the internet, they could absolutely take mine off the air, couldn't they?
They could. And think about an internet service provider, whether it's Comcast, AT&T, or Verizon. They have no interest in slowing your service down. They have no interest in blocking you because you will go somewhere else. You can look at content on so many different ways than you could 10, 15 years ago. So it's ridiculous to think that a company would limit your choice, but it makes sense because we've seen the government overregulate and just literally kill industry in this country.
Absolutely. David, thank you. You really did a great job, hit a home run this morning. From the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, David Williams. I'm going to ask you to come back in the future. I've enjoyed our conversation, and we'll keep your name and try to have you back in a couple of months.
Thank you. Absolutely my pleasure, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Very, very nice young man. Don't let the government take or assume anything else away from our rights that are afforded to us in the Constitution. Fight. I will. Oh, my goodness sakes, let's see. We've got to pay some bills here right now. And I want to remind you, and we've had a lot of response to this, that don't tell me there's not jobs out there. Don't tell me people aren't hiring. I know that's not true because Ag Express is looking for drivers, and they've got a great, great opportunity for you, and retired folks, too. They've got full and part-time positions available, and they'll work around your schedule 2 or 3 days a week, and whatever works best for you. And the nice thing about Ag Express, you're home every night, and you're using new and maintained equipment, and they've got great vacation schedules and benefit programs, including major medical and dental and vision. You better call and check it out today. Call Dale and Paul at 438-8886, Alan in Twin Falls at 731-2495, and Russ in Burley, and his number 431-7175. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Oh, my goodness. I want to mention this one more time today, that if you get the card in the mail today, I'm sure that he should get it by Saturday, I'm hoping, with Pony Express. But Russell Smith, a dear friend of this program, 3 times Purple Heart recipient, fighting for this great country, the United States of America, is celebrating his 92nd birthday this Saturday. And Russell is now residing up at the Idaho State Veterans Home at 1957 Alvin Ricken Drive in Pocatello, room 70, and the zip code 83201. Please take a little time, just maybe 30 seconds, jot out a little happy birthday wish, put in an envelope, send it to Russell Smith up at the Idaho State Veterans Home in Pocatello. He would love to hear from you. Please do that for me. I'd appreciate it. By the way, quick note that our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox Lennox, why, my goodness sakes, they are offering up to $1,700 in rebates on qualified new Lennox home comfort systems. Well, keep your home feeling perfect on the inside. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, serving you. I mentioned earlier, today is George and Donna Mass's anniversary. Happy anniversary to those wonderful people. And let's see, what else have I got here real quick. Tomorrow on the program, I want to remind you that at 10:30, we're going to have a very interesting guest talking about the Second Amendment as it is, and it's going to be by Larry Pratt from Gun Owners of America. That's going to be at 10:30 tomorrow morning on our program. Don't you miss it. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios, and we have about a 3-minute break, and we're going to send it back over to Wheels and Gina and Scotty, and we'll be back with more Zeb at the Ranch in just a few minutes with our next guest. Stay tuned.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
What a beautiful day outside. My. Finally, spring has sprung. Gonna enjoy it. And right now we're also going to enjoy our next guest on the program. He is a political analyst and a Cajun. I love Cajuns. Some of my best friends are down there in Alligator Country down in Louisiana. Hello, Jeff Cruer. How are you?
Hey, welcome. Yes, good to be with you. Yeah, we're down here in sunny Louisiana.
You know, I got to be honest with you, Mr. Cruer. I know a lot of Cajuns, and you guys are tougher than I'll ever be. I flew in to do a rodeo at Leesville, Louisiana years back, and I'll tell you what, by the end of the first performance, I think I sweat off about 20 pounds. How do you stand that heat and humidity?
We're just used to it. You know, we're born with it. We have these brutal summers, and we just get used to it. Being outdoors, of course, there's a lot of hunting and fishing and festivals and all kinds of outdoor activities here in Louisiana. Lots of different water sports, and people just sort of deal with it. We do have great weather during the spring, fall, and winter when it's not horribly hot, and we're blessed with not having a very harsh winter. But the summer months are tough, especially for folks that aren't used to it, definitely.
And I'll tell you something else. If you want to have the best in food, but you better have a cast iron stomach, is have that Cajun cooking, because there's nothing better. Listen,
we got some of the best chefs in the world. John Foles. We've got, of course, Emerald. So many world-renowned. We lost Paul Prudhomme recently, who passed away. Kay Pauls. So many great chefs down here, and yeah, we take our food seriously down here, Zeb.
I know you do, and it's very good. Listen, let's get to the politics side of our story this morning. I understand that you're a former Trump delegate, and tell us a little bit about being a delegate for Donald Trump. And at first, things didn't bode well for Donald Trump, and then all of a sudden, one by one, all the opposition fell. Give us a little background as being a delegate for Donald Trump.
Well, you know, I think it was June 15th or 16th, 2015, when I heard his announcement speech. He had me that day. He had me at hello. And it was a powerful speech. I just said, well, this is the guy that I'm for. And he really spoke to me as someone who was politically incorrect, a businessman, not a politician. He was going to deal with some of these problems that have been long-standing, that haven't been dealt with. He was going to put America first. And that just is what I've been talking about for years and supporting, and I haven't seen the Republican Party get behind it. So, of course, he had all the opposition, all the Republican Party insiders going against him, all the, you know, well-known politicians, and he mowed them all down, and he did it his own way. He didn't listen to the consultants, the pollsters. And I just thought that was fantastic that we had someone who was independent. And I just liked his message. And he spoke to millions of Americans that have been overlooked for all these years, the middle class, the Rust Belt, the American worker. And I just thought that this was a message that could win, so I got behind him. I was a co-chair here in Louisiana. We had a great time at the convention. And then during the general election, it was very intense because, of course, all the media was opposed to him, and he had all the biased coverage, and he had Hillary outspend him 2-1. And even with all of the abuse that he got in the media and James Comey's antics and everything else, he won. And ever since then, I think he's been trying to fulfill his promises. But the problem is, Zeb, we got a Republican Congress that isn't living up to their end.
Absolutely. Right. Right. That's what I want to get into with you this morning. I am so mad. I am so bitter at the Republican Party for being fractionalized, and absolutely they've got a chance right now to do what's right for America and do what America wants them to do, from the House of Representatives to the Senate right to the Oval Office, and we've got some knuckle draggers that absolutely are throwing a fly in the milk. What are your thoughts?
I agree. Let's start with Obamacare. I mean, they've been promising, and I was one of the early Tea Party activists here in Louisiana, and that was our number one issue from day one in 2009, and it lasted all the way through. I mean, we've had 8 years of promises, that they were going to repeal and replace Obamacare, and now I'm hearing that they might have a vote this week, they might not, that they might be a few votes short, they don't know. I mean, this thing's been handled abysmally by Paul Ryan, and I've lost all confidence in Paul Ryan. I don't have any.
I agree with you.
His leadership abilities. So we're going to see what happens. And then the budget, the 5-month budget that they passed, $1.1 trillion in spending with a lot of pork barrel programs that the Democrats liked. My question is, I mean, what did we send them up there to do? It wasn't to act like Democrats.
Well, Jeff, wait a minute, though. Stop right there. We're looking at 103 days, and we're looking at a fractionalized party. We're looking at the liberal left that's doing everything they can to go in resistance and absolute chaos and anarchy in our country. So how in the world can Trump put forth a proposal to help save the great American dream when you got a bunch of nutcases on both sides of the aisle?
That's a great question. And let's not forget, he's got all the establishment against him. He's got the media against him, the special interests against him, Hollywood against him, the globalists against him, the deep state against him. I mean, he's got all these institutional forces against him. And he's trying to get things done. And that's why he's done a lot of executive orders, which I think he can do and that have been good. But he's got to get the Congress with him. I mean, he can't really fulfill his promises until he gets legislation passed. He was proclaiming the other day he had 29 bills that he had signed, but most of those were pretty minor issues. We're expecting action on the big issues: infrastructure, the border, the health care issue, and tax cuts. Those are the 4 big issues that we're hoping to see some action on, Zeb.
All right, well, now let's talk a little bit about that money for those issues. Now, there was money that was supposed to be jerked out from underneath Planned Parenthood. Nope, it's back in the budget till September. There was supposed to be money for the wall. Nope, it's not even on the listing. There were supposed to be so many things of promises that the Trump campaign had made during the run for the presidency, and now they're being short-circuited by his own Republican Party. What can we do? I feel like our hands are tied behind our back.
Well, I think what we can do is pressure the Congress to support the president, and we might have to pressure the Congress to elect a new speaker. I think Paul Ryan has just failed, and the president, I think, is dependent on the congressional leadership to get these pieces of legislation through. And I think he's more concerned about his own power and position than he is the agenda. And I'll never forget during the campaign, I mean, he would give these press conferences where he would criticize the president and get on his moral high horse and seemingly never really support Donald Trump. And, And the president's got to deal with people in Congress that didn't support him, and that's really a problem.
You know,
so if the Republicans don't deliver on their promises, they're going to lose the majority, and then we're going to have a president who's going to have to deal with a Democrat Congress, and that's going to be even worse.
Absolutely.
So they have limited time, Zeb, to get the job done, because once you get into an election year, 2018, you got midterms coming up, then even less is going to get done. So that window is closing. And I haven't seen much that I've been impressed with. I really haven't.
Well, let me ask you this question, and maybe I'm dead wrong on this, but I said when there was the mention of maybe the government might have to shut down because of a lack of budget, I came out and said, and I'll stand behind it, good. Let's get rid of the riffraff. Let's get a big broom and a dustpan and clean out all the chaff and the garbage. I actually think it might be a good thing to shut down and kind of reevaluate and start from square one on the monopoly board. Am I wrong?
I like that idea. In fact, the president said maybe we should have a good shutdown. I think he was talking about maybe in September, but I don't see why they don't do it now. The problem is Republicans are petrified of a government shutdown, and they think they'll get blamed. And they think they're going to get hurt politically, and it's always the Republicans' fault for a government shutdown. They never point any fingers at the Democrats, and that's what's got these Republicans petrified. So they're like, well, we'll give the Democrats anything they want. We just don't want to shut down. Any kind of spending they want, we'll give it to them.
Let me ask...
The Democrats always are winners in these situations.
Absolutely. Let me ask you about the tone of your Cajun state of Louisiana. What's the Pelican State like as far as politics out in the Tules or in the smaller towns, etc.? Are they basically all in support of Donald Trump trying to drain the swamp and literally try to transition politics back the way it should be? What's the general feeling down in your country?
The president has pretty strong support. He won the state comfortably. He won, by 20 points here in Louisiana. So this is Trump country. The state is a red state. We've got blue islands in the red state. We got New Orleans, which is a liberal city in a very conservative state. So there are pockets of support for the Democrats. But overall, statewide, the president's very popular.
Are the folks down there as embarrassed as many of my friends on this radio program as to what the left is doing? They're acting like anarchists. They're acting like total chaos is on their agenda. The millennial wah-wah crybaby snowflakes aren't doing anything except just disrupting. They don't have any goals. They don't have any thoughts to the future, nothing. And then yesterday, Hillary coming out and saying, well, I'm going to become a member of the resistance along with Chuck Schumer and all these other clowns. This is despicable that we can't work together to go with the title, Make America Great Again.
I agree. It's pitiful. But that is what we're dealing with here with these Democrats. They haven't gotten over the election. I don't know if you heard Hillary's comments that she was leading, but it was all James Comey's fault and Russian WikiLeaks, she called it. And she said if the election would have been held October 27th, she would have won. And I said I've never seen a bigger crybaby, sore loser than Hillary Clinton. I mean, she hasn't been gracious. The Democrats have taken her lead, and they've been nasty and partisan. The president got no honeymoon. The president's got no cooperation. They boycotted his inaugural. They boycotted his State of the Union. Petty. And he's been treated, Zeb, in a way in the media that Barack Obama was never treated, with a lot of disrespect. Look at how these comedians are abusing him very inappropriately. And it's unprecedented what he's had to really deal with. And I commend him for being as successful as he has been in spite of all this opposition.
I agree. One last thought, and I've said this on my program numerous times, Jeff, and I'd like to get your response as a delegate and a person involved in politics. I have said that this is the last hurrah. This is the last gunfight at the OK Corral for the Republicans, and this is high noon, to use a Western movie kind of theatrics. I don't think they're ever going to get another chance with the American public because of the way the Democrats and the liberal left are trying to subvert our country. Your thoughts?
I couldn't agree with you more, which is why I wrote the book, America's Last Chance. I mean, I completely agree. This is it. And one of the quotes that I put on my book cover was from Jeff Sessions, the now Attorney General, saying that this was Americans' last chance to take control of their government. And this is it. And the Republicans in Congress are blowing it.
Tell us.
So we've got to put the pressure on them to deliver on their promises to the American people.
Absolutely.
We got the president elected, but that's not enough. I mean, the agenda's got to get implemented, or this is not going to be a success, and we're going to go back to the same old mistakes and problems of the past. So this is it. And you're right. We've got high stakes here, and they have to deliver, really, to save our country. And I hope and pray that we can put enough pressure on these clowns in Congress to get the job done.
Let me ask you quickly about your book and talk a little bit about that, Last Chance. What's the basics of the book? What's the main theme? What do you want the reader to take away when they finish your book?
Well, I want them to take away the theme that for years the people have been overlooked and ignored. And the government has really been run for the special interests and the establishment in both parties. And I wrote it as a Republican who has seen all of our efforts to bring up their Republican Congress. I was helping with the Tea Party, and we got them a Republican Congress, we got them a Republican Senate, and now a Republican president. And the wishes of the people were never really fulfilled, and our promises were never kept. And my book was all about this election being the last chance to really change the dynamic in this country, whereby the people can then take control of their government. And I was so pleased that we were able to accomplish step one and elect Donald Trump. But the book talks about that agenda that needs to be implemented. And I really do encourage your listeners to check it out. It's at my website, which is my name, jeffcruaire.com. And I'd love to get feedback from your listeners. I'd love them to read it. And I think it really is about this struggle that we're undergoing this very day, that what we're discussing today, Jeff.
All right. And, Jeff, the book is available through Amazon or any other outlets you want to mention?
Yes, it's at my website, jeffcruaire.com, also available at barnesandnoble.com and amazon.com.
Well, I wish you a lot of success with that book, America's Last Chance, but I absolutely thank you for your political insight this morning, and I certainly hope you'll consent to coming back on my program. Cajun with an old Northwest cowboy, we'd love to have you back.
Hey, I'd love to come back. Thanks for having me.
All right. Jeff Cruaire and his book called America's Last Chance. And he's a former delegate to the Trump campaign. So from Louisiana, and I got a lot of good friends down there in Cajun country. They listen during the week, one of which is an old partner of mine, and that's Louis Amade, and I wish him the best. We've got to get a weather forecast on here right now. And the weather is brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Oh, my. They've got that big, delicious tax return package on meats, $249 plus tax for approximately 57 pounds of beef and pork and chicken. Oh, my goodness. It is delicious. And, also, they've got that buckboard bacon. Listen, leaner and more economical than traditional bacon and all kinds of different flavors. Delicious. You're going to love it. Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
I think Ma Nature is in a good mood because it looks like for today and for the rest of the week into the weekend, we're going to be warming up, and we could finally break out the shorts if we so choose. Looks like sunny skies for today, slightly breezy. Winds out of the southwest right around 5 miles an hour. High of 71 is what we're looking at tonight, low of 43. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies, high of 80 with an overnight low of 50. Sunny and 85 for Friday as we kick off the weekend with overnight low of 54. That would be a great time to break out the barbecue. Saturday, Mostly cloudy skies. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit. High of 80 with an overnight low of 48. Then for Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 77. That is your weather forecast for 7.
And she even had some really upbeat music like, come on, let's head for the beach. It's going to be great, I tell you what. Scarrows Meats bringing you the weather this hour. And, of course, they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. The number to call, Don Scarrow and the crew. And they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. It's good. Calls are welcome. And the number to call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've got time for a couple of calls. While I'm waiting for your call to come in, I promised that I would hit some of these PSA, public service announcements. The Historical Society of Albion. I almost said hysterical. I meant to say, if I didn't, Historical Society of Albion will be holding its annual meeting on May 11th at 7 p.m., and the meeting will be in the Deb Mark building across the street from the History Center, and they're going to have refreshments. Everybody be there, goodies, and a tour of the center to follow. And I understand that their guest speaker will be Dr. History, Dr. Ken Turner, and that's coming up on the 11th. Now, let's see what else we got cooking here quickly. The Rupert United Methodist Church annual Relay for Life yard sale. Say that fast 5 times. Will be held Saturday, May 13th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 605 H Street on the front lawn. And all proceeds from the sale will be donated to the Relay for Life and Open Hearts Food Pantry. There you go. And then, coming up on May 27th, I will be out of town, but I wish them the best. The 3rd annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride. And it's going to start at, let's see, they're going to have kickstands up with the motorcycles at 9:30 in the morning, and then they're all going to go back to the city park. And, where is this going to be exactly? I think it's going to be at the Veteran Memorial Incorporated. I got to get a hold of George and find out where exactly everything's going to take place before I say too much. For more information, contact my buddy George Mass at 650-0104. And don't forget, the Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride on May 27th. And program and food at 1 p.m. at the Idaho Roll Call Monument. There we go, in Rupert. And let's support our fallen troops. There you go. I bet you George and Donna were getting a little nervous there, thinking, oh my goodness, we didn't put that on the poster. Yes, they did. Got time for another call. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, sweating like crazy in here this morning. It's nice and warm. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Get where you're going this summer. Oh, yeah. And make sure you arrive there safely with really, really good tires on your vehicle, whether it's your car or whether it's your pickup or SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. You be sure and stop into any one of the 7 Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And many of their tires are on sale. And I tell you what, check this out for your cars. The Xeon RS3-A, all-season performance tire, quality handling. Ooh, that is a good tire for your vehicle, your car, for summer driving. And don't forget, ask about a free pre-trip safety check. My goodness sakes, their free pre-trip safety check includes a visual inspection of the following: your tires, wheel alignment, tire wear, front-end components, brake components, shocks and struts. My goodness, they want to make sure that you have a very safe trip. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Absolutely the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow, what a day. Tomorrow, who are we going to be talking to tomorrow? I've got to talk to Larry Pratt. I'm looking forward to this. And he is the illegal immigration analyst, executive director of Gun Owners of America, Larry Pratt. And we're going to be talking about the MS-13 gang that is getting more powerful and more deadly here in the United States of America. So don't forget that tomorrow morning at 10:30. We're also going to have Rita on the phone, Rita Ramsey, the Chamber Report, all kinds of different business salutes, all of this and more. We'll ride the horse starting at 8:06 for 3 hours till 11, right here on K-Bar 12:30 a.m. and also on the internet all over the world, zebbell.com, and we invite you to tune in and call in. Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you much for all your response today, and right now we're going to send it back over to our main studios, and then Steve Mitten will pick up the reins. Zeb at the Ranch, and the way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow morning.